Well, after the arc in space, the Doctor, Harry, and Sarah decided to transmat down to check out the transmat mechanism itself. It seemed to be having trouble, so the Doctor goes down there. And the interesting thing about the transmat is that it requires these devices to be able to collect the transmission. So whereas like in Star Trek, when it's a transporter, you can just beam from the ship and it handles it wherever you go. Which I guess is just a superior technology, whereas the transmat thing has to be able to collect and reassemble what the beam is or what have you. So they arrive. Of course, there's a little comical bit about how they do it, but then the Doctor gets busy working on it and tells the others to just shove off while he's busy. Of course, they immediately find trouble. So they're not alone on the supposed uninhabited planet Earth at this time. And there's also plenty of other humans. They went out and colonized other worlds, and they're still around. And so really the whole mission for the Ark, or Nova was the name of the station, was kind of meaningless. But meanwhile, they're being the other people were a crew of a space station that was apparently brought down and crashed, and they're being stalked by this apparent robot machine, which we learn is under the control of a Sontaran. Now, Sarah recognizes the Sontaran as Lynx, but she says, "How can that be? He's dead." Well, of course, they're a clone species, so they all look alike. No, they really do. Because they're clones. And the Sontaran is experimenting on the humans to send back a report to his empire or what have you. And because they're planning to invade the galaxy to set up a battlefield that they feel is strategic in their ongoing war with the Rutons, which another one of these things that's just sort of mentioned in Doctor Who, but we never actually get to see. We only get to hear the Sontarans, and occasionally the Ruton, we'll meet one eventually, discuss it. But they're always messing with Earth because they see it as some sort of strategic importance. And they're also time-traveling peoples. So their war stretches out across time and space. So basically, that's what you got. It's a good episode. There's a good intrigue here. Go back and forth. One of the crewmen of these astronauts, the actual leader of them, is a traitor. He agreed to help the Sontaran get the others. So long as he was spared, he tried to say, "Hey, it was the only way to keep us alive, guys." He ends up that Sontaran kills one guy. He starves him to death and all that stuff. Yeah, he's just great. Harry ends up being more of the hero here, as he never really gets captured. He does fall in a trap, but it was set by one of the poor driven insane astronauts who's trying to avoid the robot. He had managed to escape the Sontaran, but ends up on the run. He doesn't trust the others because he suspects the captain or leader or whatever he was, and he was right, but he's too addle-brained to be able to do much else about it. But he ends up getting captured and killed. Poor guy. Just, well, what are you going to do? And then, Sarah gets captured. And she's tortured by the Sontaran, but then the Doctor rescues her and all that. Back and forth. And one of the few things where this Doctor, kind of following the previous Doctor of Pertwee's Doctor, was a very a physical Doctor. He would use his karate and whatnot. Here, this Doctor challenges the Sontaran to a fight because he figures it's the only way to stop him, and that he couldn't refuse a battle. But the Doctor lies to the Sontaran, Styre is the Sontaran's name, by saying, "Oh, you've just been dealing with our slave class. I'm the actual superior of the human race." And so anyway, they duke it out, and then the Sontaran starts to lose, and he's like, "I don't have time to deal with you puny humans. I have more important things to do." He runs to the ship, but by then the Doctor had sent Harry to deal with a bit of technology that the Sontaran uses as, I guess, I was going to say a regenerator, but I don't think that's quite, but something to do with maintaining his health or whatnot. And without it, it has the opposite effect, and his head deflates. It just collapses in there, and he's dead. And then the doctor has a good laugh with his boss on this little monitor there. And we're good. So this is another one of these where you had a very entertaining show with interesting themes about space warfare being fought with a very small few, and a significant thing here because without Steyer's report, the Sontarans were going to cancel their plans for that time anyway to invade the Earth and take it for a battlefield with the Routons and all that. And the other elements of storytelling of adventure and being caught and fear and all that. It's all done in some, I don't know, cattle pasture. And it works. They do this. They utilize it. It had to have been one of the cheaper shows they shot, even though it was all on film for a while. Like those old BBC shows where, the interior shots were video and the outdoor shots were film and all that. This one, well, it's the entire thing. But that's the one thing I keep coming back to about a lot. And even then, old Doctor Who, they would complain there wasn't enough money and that. But when the stories were good and the performances were top notch, they draw you into it. Your imagination does the rest. It really doesn't matter. It can't be totally sloppy nonsense or some minimalist play production where it's just a table and a couple of fold-out chairs. But still, with the powers on display here with the people working on the show and the actors and the performing and all that, and of course Tom Baker. Tom Baker literally carries the show quite a bit, and he just had that ability. His personality, his charisma is just overflowing with ability. But it's not the total thing here, though. It was a great team at this point, everything firing on all cylinders, and it's all very simple. They're just sitting out there in the field. So you complaining about a lack of money for special effects or whatnot these days and what? No, that's not the problem. So anyway, there you go. The Sontaran experiment, which was just a bunch of torture. Those toad-faced bastards. But I prefer them as monsters and as villains. I was never a fan of them becoming cute and cuddly in later versions. But anyway, there you go. And then we're off to another special story. Yes, something strange is happening as they attempt to beam back to Nova Station in order to tell Vira everything's fine, you can start beaming your people down. Well, they never quite make it back to Vira. And, yeah, we're going to see probably the greatest Doctor Who episode ever done, in my humble opinion. That, of course, Genesis of the Daleks. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Most notably, my comic book, Night Night. Oh yeah, you can get a copy of that or get the digital download, whichever you prefer, over at indieplanet.com. And don't forget to catch my podcast with new episodes every Saturday, the Mr Nailsin Show on RadioMisfits.com. And of course, you can also catch my videos at BitChute. That's Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.